In this tutorial, we're going to learn how to take our HDR image and pull it into Photoshop for post-processing. So the first step is to take one of our original photos. In this case, I've chosen my underexposure and the HDR image we created. I'm going to grab both of these and I'm going to pull it into Photoshop. So what I'd like to do first is grab my HDR image and copy and paste it on top of the original image. So to do this, I'm going to hit Apple A, or if you're using a PC, it's Control A, and then Apple C to copy. I'm going to go to the original image, and now I'm going to hit Apple V or Control V. And so now we have our HDR image on top of our original. I can remove this layer, and you can see the original underexposure underneath. Now when I'm post-processing an HDR image, the very first step I always take is I come down and I select my curves. And with this, I can pull out my extreme darks and my extreme lights. So about 2/3 of the way on this diagonal line, I'm going to pinch it and I'm going to drag it down. You'll see the image is getting darker. And then I'm going to go up here about 2/3 of the way up, and I'm going to go in the opposite direction. So you'll see by doing this that it reveals the darkest of our HDR image and the lightest of that image. This is a little too dramatic for me, so I'm going to go over here. I'm going to drag this up just a little bit more so it's a little more natural looking. I think that looks right. Okay, so I think this looks pretty good, with the exception of a couple of things. One, you'll notice, I think the vegetation looks good, but you'll notice this section down in here is a little bright and a little bit unnatural looking. The color's not ordinarily blue like that. You'll also notice the top of the mountain here is a bit overexposed and very blue. So to fix these two things, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to create a vector mask on top of my HDR image. And what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to mask out some of these portions of the image in order to reveal the original photograph that we took. So to do this, I'm going to come down and select my vector mask tool. I'm going to go over and make sure that my brush tool is selected, which it is. Now I have it at about 442 right now, which gives it a very big circle. That's a little bit too big. I'm going to bring this down a bit, maybe around 200. That looks a little bit better. You want the opacity to be right around 30. And the reason I want it at 30 is so that I can take several strokes over the image without completely revealing what's below it. So once I've done all of this, I'm going to start with this section below here, and I'm going to mask some of this out. You'll notice it instantly gets darker there. Take another pass at it. Then I'm going to do the same with the mountaintop. Definitely gives the shadow a more dramatic look, which I like. And then what I like to do is in the same vector masking layer there, I'm going to bring the brush up again. Bring it up to about 400. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a look at the image and I'm going to find the darkest parts of this image and I'm going to make them even darker. Notice it will reveal some of the underexposed sky below. There we go. I think that looks good. So that is how you take your HDR image and pull it into Photoshop for post-processing. I hope this tutorial was helpful. I also want to thank you for purchasing the book, and I hope that you found it very helpful.